Another year of 22 nights has concluded where we witnessed 13 new events, 2 that received a facelift, including a couple of sinister and questionable surprises from Blizzard that left the community divided, with controversies as fiery as the pits of the Pandemonium Fortress. Don't worry if you missed any of the daily demonic trickery rotations, because I got you covered. Stay a while and listen as I take you through the labyrinth of the new 22 Nights of Terror, highlighting the good, the bad, and yes, even the ugly, including a community poll crowning Sanctuary's favorite holiday event from 2023. One segment or classification of demonic trickery we saw in 2023 that was not present in 2022 was a cluster of events based on an O skill. For those who may not know, an O skill is a skill that works for any class. It enables these to behave separately from each class's hard cap of 30 unique skills available to them. This year, we saw last-minute shopping, which gave everyone the ability to finally be a Horker leveraging Find Item, followed by Winter Wonderland, which enabled us to cast Blizzard concurrently while sizzling demons through our primary attacks. Next, we saw a respectful reference to The Witcher via the White Wolf, allowing us to morph into were form and leverage some of the core abilities such as Fury and Feral Rage. And right towards the end of the calendar event for the new year, they blessed everyone with Enigma. That's right, everyone, including a brand new level 1, had access to teleport. Overall, these were great to see and tinker with. The first 3 O skills of Find Item, Blizzard, and Wear Form all had a plus 20 level base skill, which was higher if you had other plus skill gear. The only drawback was they only made teleport level 1, requiring a high mana cost for those just starting out. 2 quirky and fun events were the most famous reindeer of all and Close Out with a Bang. Players could channel their inner summon Mancer by having slain monsters reanimate as hell bovines. The only downside was that they could not teleport with you. On the flip side, only a few get to play with Destruction Runeword builds, given its high rune cost. Still, everyone had their moment to let the procs fly like fireworks that day with a combination of 5 specific skills: Frost Nova, Poison Nova, Corpse Explosion, Volcano, and Frozen Orb. One of the most powerful adaptations to D2R was the introduction of Terror Zones, and oh boy, Blizzard delivered 2 notable holiday events in the form of Holiday Boss Rush and Winter Terrorland. For Holiday Boss Rush, we saw a fairly even distribution with the boss dungeons rotating every hour. Cathedral and Catacombs had 4, Tal Rasha's Tombs had 5, Durance of Hate with 4, Chaos Sanctuary with 5, and finally World Stone Keep, Baal's Bastion with 6. While Winter Terrorland was outstanding, I did feel it was slightly tone deaf, omitting Tal Rasha's Tombs over Cows and not including an area like Travancore over Tristram. Keeping with the theme of terror zones, we yielded 2 powerful nights that significantly accelerated and boosted the player's experience gain. This took the form of a heartwarming experience, which we saw last year but was amended from a 10% XP boost in TZs to 25%, and the introduction of a new difficulty scaling buff in the form of Holiday Stress mirroring the single-player dynamic. Starting with Holiday Stress, this was an automatic implementation of the player's command pushing difficulty scaling to emulate a player's 8 game. This increases monster HP and damage and significantly increases your experience gain by 4.5 times over that of a player's 1 game. For some, this made doing TZs prohibitive. Still, this was a welcomed scenario for many already in the endgame as Season 5 comes to a close. It's worth calling out that this did not influence loot or no drop, which remained at players 1. To demonstrate the impact of Terror Zones granting an additional 25% experience bonus, I wanted to thank a great community member, PavK, for providing a table breakdown to showcase the 1.2 times effective multiplier players received. In these 2 tables, you have 2 scenarios, one with players 8 and party 8, and another with simply players 8 but solo grinding World Stone Keep. In each calculator scenario, this character was level 90 and had a 10% XP Annie equipped in the inventory. The base XP is calculated using game data and the cumulative XP gained by clearing each wave in Throne of Destruction. Unsurprisingly, the base XP on a Party 8 game is lower since the experience is equally allocated, assuming the 2-screen window fundamental, whereas soloing Worldstone Keep would yield far more experience. Well done, Blizzard, but while there are pleasant demonic buffs, there are those come on man moments that we have all come to expect. Hold on to your loot bags, Sanctuary, because Blizzard decided to play hide and seek with Battle.net. Not once, but twice with the roll out of Snowball's Chance and Hangover, sending my hardcore family into hibernation mode. Snowball's Chance reduced all resistances by 100%, however, it conversely increased your damage by 100%. This may have seemed like a fair exchange, but not so fast. One of the critical elements is that this also included negative 100% magic resistance, which is not a common affix on any item that can protect you from this damage type outside of integer magic damage reduction. Sticking with the theme of magic, the magic percent damage modifier needed to be implemented appropriately, as Hammerdins and Fodins did not see any increase in their damage output. For physical builds with a high baseline of increased percent ED, an additive 100% was marginally felt and barely made a difference in clear speed. The core classes that benefited were the core elements of cold, fire, poison, and lightning. Just when we thought it couldn't get more tone deaf, we saw the rollout of Hangover. Charming guys. This debuff displayed a complete and utter lack of balance. Let me explain. As we know, the majority of Sunders have a negative resistance range of 70 to 90 except for two. Black Cleft, which has 45 to 65%, and Bone Break, which is increased by 10 to 20%. But no, you just had to implement a blanketed 75% balance across everything without accounting for the specific nuances of each respective element, a totally aloof implementation. In the end, could you have thrown on Kira's or other gear to compensate? Sure, but let's be blunt, this was a completely unnecessary slate of debuffs. But wait, it isn't over yet. The uglier can get uglier. The final day of the 22 Nights event has once again become useless to the hardcore community, taking the form of a Rainbow Facet Death proc, late to the party, where upon death, heroes have a 100% chance to cast a level 100 meteor. Your deeds of valor shall not be remembered. Thanks for the hardcore send-off, guys. Real talk? Baffling, elusive, and leaving us with more questions than a confused Deckard Cain. Now, while it did seem very doom and gloom for my hardcore brethren, Blizzard redeemed themselves by rolling out a much-needed event in the form of Krampus Slough, with Diablo clone popping every 3 hours. This allowed heroes to accumulate 7 total Annies over a 24-hour window. For the hardcore servers, this was a godsend, where there are very few and limited walks, especially in the current season. Sorry, softcore. Annie's markets were diluted even further. Like my recap last year, I wanted to share some feedback for future demonic events that would be fun and interesting. First, let's continue to see Black Friday sales in Gamble Mania for all 3 Fridays. Endless gold and gambling for hours adds a refreshing element to the gameplay experience. Sticking with the O-skill theme, let's see continued quality of life implementations for things like Holy Shield, Warmth, Fade, or Conviction. Next time, just light up all terrorized zones simultaneously. Even something as simple as everyone having the assassin's ability to unlock chests without consuming a key. While I brought this up last year, I would like to see an overall density increase if they can implement it properly online. Finally, since everyone loved the XP buff improvements, let's see Holiday Stress Players 8 implemented for all areas and not just tied to terror zones. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment has arrived to unveil the undisputed champion of the holiday event. First, I want to give a massive shout out to the Diablo 2 IO community and my phenomenal YouTube members. Both were participating in these cross-platform polls. Collectively, we saw a cumulative 150 votes that have now allowed us to crown the Holiday Havoc and Superior buff from this year's event, which was, drumroll please, Winter Terrorland. Now, there were a few honorable mentions nipping at the heels of this event, such as things like Holiday Stress and Holiday Rush. A lot of you did, of course, enjoy the O skills like Find Item and Teleport, and there was a strong showing of support for the Diablo clone pops every 3 hours. Ultimately, I was pleasantly surprised with the 2023 Knights of Terror, which were vastly improved over that of last year's. Not only did we have some fun puns with the naming conventions of the holiday events, but we also didn't see the event repeating behavior that we saw in 2022. Specifically, there were 6 different events that repeated in last year's rotations, and I was excited that we saw a complete clean slate this year, of course, outside of Gamble Mania. Now, before you go back into the D2R Abyss, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and feel free to share this video out to your fellow Nephilim. Stay frosty, Sanctuary.